I feel like we're too confused now. Not me particularly, but everyone else. Everyone's confused about what finance is, what stocks are, what it means to invest, what it means to build wealth, and what it means to do so in a long-term, prudent way. The kind of way that manages risk, and the kind of way that's not going to stress you out. The kind of way that's going to give you positivity into your life. That's going to give you capabilities and options. Options to do more, to be more, versus the kind of way that's going to make you not sleep well at night and speculate and make dumb decisions for yourself. I feel that we're too confused nowadays, and that we need to move into a place more of true financial education for the masses, the kind that basically never existed in the past, and the kind that's starting to come about today, which is a positive of all this craziness. And by craziness, I mean kind of post coronavirus, the kind of meme stock approach, hyper focused on crypto and speculation, that kind of approach, where there's a lot of easy money to be had in stocks and in crypto, and even in real estate, kind of. And that's not traditionally the way things are, and that's not how they're going to be. We're in a unique time. And so, for those of us who are just getting into investing now, for those of us who are just starting to think about long term wealth building and capability enhancement, options enhancement for our own lives, and options and capability enhancement can come in many ways. It can come in by by developing yourself, by developing your physical body. That gives you capabilities. By developing your skills, that gives you capabilities, right? So if you learn how to do, if you take a phlebotomy course because you want to know how to draw blood, and you just think that's a useful skill, that increases your capability. If you take a woodworking course because you want to know how to make stuff with wood, that increases your capability. If you go to um, that organization that builds houses for people, I think it's called. Um, I forgot what it's called. There's an organization that builds houses for people. Let me take a look at for that. I think it's called Housing for America or something like that. Housing organization building homes. Habitat for Humanity, that's what it's called. So you could go work for Habitat for Humanity, you can volunteer, and you're going to be doing a ton of good, and you'll also be learning skills. You're not going to be learning them like as you would in a course. You're mainly volunteering, but definitely if you're in Habitat for Humanity and you're helping build homes for people, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn a lot, and your capabilities are going to be enhanced. If you go take a CPR course, your capabilities are enhanced. If you take a you know, take a certain computer course, learn Excel, your capabilities are enhanced. Learn a martial art or learn Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, capabilities are enhanced. So there's a lot of ways to enhance capabilities. There's active ways and there's passive ways. Active, I mean like going out and doing something, and the passive way is more kind of in terms of building up your buffer against uncertainty, which is basically wealth building. So you can do all those things to enhance your capabilities, and you should, right, if they're appropriate for you and your life and your risks and your goals and all that stuff. But you can also just put more money aside. So you could be imagine a guy who's put a lot of money aside, didn't focus on any of the other capabilities, doesn't know how to do anything whatsoever, but somehow he was able to accumulate a lot of money, and he's just a fat slob sitting on the couch and not able to do anything whatsoever for himself. That's a possibility, but he could still have a lot of capabilities because he has a lot of resources to tap, to utilize, to toss out, and other people will use their capabilities for him to benefit him. So, a lot of ways to increase your capabilities. And I love it that millennials and Gen Zs are now trying to increase their overall capabilities in life, their overall options in life by putting money away, by growing their wealth, by having their wealth work for them a bit. Right? Good. Excellent. But it has to be done in a prudent way. It has to be done in a way that's sustainable for the long term. And by sustainable, I mean sustainable for you, sustainable for me, sustainable for our individual lives, but it also must be sustainable for our community. It must be sustainable for society. There's no other way. Now, some people may think, oh, what are you talking about sustainability? I just care about my own self. I care about my own pocket, my own wallet. That's a diluted and wrong approach. It's wrong both on a moral level and on a practical level. It's so wrong on a practical level. Because if you're living in a society, in a community, and our communities have gotten big, right? So in the US, we could see our society, our community is the entire country. If we're in this country, you want things to go well. You want everything to go well. You don't want to just take and then you're not going to obviously be powerful enough. Likely, you're not going to be powerful enough by your taking to affect the entire country. But in taking, once you're part of that kind of scheme or sphere of diluted thinking or diluted approaches or strange, peculiar ways of thinking that are not really tied to reality or tied to anything practical or valuable, once you're part of that, meaning once you're just in the, oh, let me just buy random ass cryptos and put my money in random cryptos that have no real value whatsoever, that are going to be gone in 20 years, or let me put my money in random meme stocks that are gonna that may rise, that could rise, but that are not really good companies. They're not really selling good, valuable products and making good money. They're not good businesses. So if you're buying Bitcoin or Ethereum, something that could be considered a valuable protocol or a valuable tool to make things more smooth in the world, right? That's useful, super useful, to make things more smooth, transactions, to make contracts, complex contracts, more effective and efficient and transparent. Very useful. It's also useful, the analytics you could do with Ethereum. If the whole world runs on the blockchain, there's a lot more knowledge we can gain by analyzing where money's going, how it's being exchanged, and all that stuff. So you can even look at a big organization or government entity, and you can have far more transparency if things are on the blockchain. Far more transparency, because you know the movement of everything. And you obviously won't be able to glance at it and understand it, but there's software you could use to kind of aggregate the information and present it in useful ways for humans, saying, oh, this is what's happening with the money. Conceivably, you could do the same thing without that, conceivably. But you're going to have a team of auditors, a team of investigators. You're going to have so much paperwork. It's going to be such a mess. And there's no way you can create a unique piece of software that's going to analyze it for you on an as-needed basis. It's going to be like a very intense human effort. So that's another benefit of those, of certain cryptos, of certain blockchains. So that's great. Being invested in those sounds great. But what about investing in random shit? What about investing in random stocks, in useless things that are not going to be around, that are not adding any value? And that's on the crypto side, or in useless companies. By useless, I mean companies that are not really making a lot of money to justify their market cap, right? If you're buying a business, it has to be a good business. It has to make enough money, enough dough has to be coming in to justify it, right? If there's an ice cream stand down there, and it's making the owner of that stand $1,000 a year, you don't have to do anything. You just buy it. It's being somebody will manage it for you, and then they write you a check, $1,000 a year. Cool, $1,000 a year, great, excellent. So how much are you going to pay for that? $1,000? Yeah, why not? Obviously, there's some risk involved. There is risk involved. How do I know that 1,000 is going to come in? But I pay 1,000 for a business that's been proven to show that it can deliver $1,000 a year to investors. Would I pay 10,000? No, I wouldn't pay 10,000. Too much risk. That's going to take me 10 years to recoup my money. But in the stock market, people are easily paying 10 times more, 20 times more, 100 times more. And of course, it makes sense because in the stock market, it's a different world. It's not an ice cream shop. A private business, any private business, has certain restrictions, has certain boundaries that that you kind of you remove once you go public. So once you list on a public exchange, certain things happen, meaning you're way more transparent as a company, like 100 times more transparent, and you're way more liquid. Two things: liquidity and transparency. So those walls come down, and now you have liquidity and transparency, and it's a beautiful thing. And everyone's willing to invest more in a company that is far more transparent and far more liquid. But still, still, even in the stock market, even with the most transparent and most liquid things, you still have to be a rational, reasonable person. You have to say, what is the benefit I'm going to be getting and what's the cost? If the market cap of the firm is $1 trillion, then what's the money that's coming in to justify that? So would you pay $1 trillion for a company that's making $1 million a year in profit? No. It'll take you how much? It'll take you a million years, right? 1,000 millions is a billion, and 1,000 billions is a trillion. So a million million is a trillion. It'll take you a million years if you're making only a million, right? Obviously that would be ludicrous. But say you're making $1 billion in profit, that sounds more reasonable, doesn't it? Say you're making $1 billion, a company, and it's going for $1 trillion today. It'll take 1,000 years. 1,000 years for that company to return its money to its investors. And we're not even taking the time value of money into account. So, you're obviously assuming if you're paying $1 trillion, and whether you buy the whole company or whether you buy one share, you're paying $1 trillion. It doesn't matter. So it's stupid to think that, you don't look at the share price. Share price is irrelevant. You look at the market cap versus the overall money the thing is making. When you buy one share, you're buying a company. Remember that. You're buying one share, you're buying the company. That's the same fucking thing. Share price is almost completely irrelevant, and the market cap versus the actual money that's coming in is what matters. So you don't even need to look at share price or the profit per share. You can have a very easy approach in a rough sense, where you could just look at the market cap and compare it to the profit. So if you're making $1 billion, if the company's making $1 billion and it's going for $1 trillion market cap, it'll take 1,000 years. Obviously, the investors, unless they're completely moronic, the investors are assuming that the company's profits are going to grow and grow and grow over time. Or they're just assuming that the stock will become more valuable over time, which is not really investing, is it?